Well, we do have our first trade on draft night, and it's an interdivision trade. The Cowboys trading the 10th pick to the Eagles in exchange for a third-round pick. So the Eagles move from 12 to 10. The wheels start to turn a little bit. Maybe are they going up for a Justin Fields? No. Ryan, B-Mac, they're going wide receiver to help Jalen Hurts, and they're going with the Heisman Trophy winner DeVonta Smith. What do you think?
I love this move for the Eagles. Now, the Eagles have been basically playing musical chairs with the draft spots. They made a move earlier with the Dolphins, and then now moving back into the top 10 to get their wide receiver in DeVonta Smith. This move solely was about the New York Giants because clearly we know the Cowboys were not going to take a wide receiver. So I guess the Eagles felt like if they didn't move up, the Giants probably would have selected DeVonta Smith, and they've been ridiculed, they've been criticized so much in not coming through in the clutch in drafting wide receivers. I love DeVonta Smith as a football player. You know what I mean? I understand he's been flacked a little bit because of his weight, but he is a football player, and he plays the game in that manner, and I think he will be successful. And I love this move, especially when you look at the young quarterback they have in Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. You have to get Jalen Hurts weapons. That's what they did with DeVonta Smith. We talked early in the pregame show. Jalen Reagor had a rough year last year as a rookie. He's got to bounce back. But if Jalen Hurts is your guy, and he appears to be, I love this move because, as B-Mac noted, there's a very good chance the Giants would have taken him there. It cost him a third-round pick, so maybe that's a lot, maybe it's not. I feel like it is. B-Mac thought it was an okay deal to move up into the top 10 to get that player, but B-Mac also hit on something. DeVonta Smith is going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder because all we heard about the last 4 months is that he didn't weigh enough, and then all he did the previous 4 months was dominate people. Every single defensive back he went up against, zero answers. So I think he's going to have something to prove. He's coming in a place where they need his help, and I like this move a lot. I think it's a great move for him, a great move for that organization, who obviously has needs on defense. But DeVonta Smith, is he a top 10 pick? Yeah, because he went 10th. So it's a definitely I love the idea of him going to Philly where he is much needed.
All right, Ryan and B-Mac, hang tight. We're going to go over to our fantasy studio now. Heath Cummings and Dave Richard. How are you feeling about the Heisman Trophy winner DeVonta Smith going to Philly?
I feel pretty good about it, Chris. I think we're talking about DeVonta Smith being the most reliable pass catcher on the Eagles among their wide receivers right now. Like Jalen Reagor was someone I was so excited that they got him last year, but I also thought that Carson Wentz was the future of the position. And now their offense is changing a little bit. They need a reliable target who can get in the right spot for Jalen Hurts, and this is it. Unbelievable route runner, unbelievable hands. He's not a big guy, but he plays bigger than he is. I think he's exactly what Philadelphia wants, to just drop into their offense and worry about other things. He's an NFL-ready wide receiver.
Really interesting comparing him to Waddle, because Waddle might have more upside, but I think for 2021, I'm going to like DeVonta Smith more. There's a clearer path to 120 targets in that Eagles offense. He doesn't have near the competition for targets, and I think he's more ready in his rookie year. So Smith will be higher, a borderline number 3 wide receiver for me in redraft, and definitely a top 20 wide receiver in Dynasty.
All right, from the fantasy studio over to the quarterback room, Brady Quinn and Danny Cannell are standing by. Guys, Eagles giving up a third-round pick to move up a couple spots to get their wide receiver. What do you think?
I mean, this to me is an investment in Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. You know, you had 2 quarterbacks that I think both could have gone in and competed with Jalen Hurts, potentially beat him out in Justin Fields and Mac Jones. And instead, you give up a third-round pick and you take a wide receiver to help build around him and add to Jalen Reagor, who had a mixed, first year as a rookie. So, to me, it's all about Jalen Hurts. This has Howie Roseman written all over it. I just, I think it's a position where he can succeed. I really do. As far as DeVonta Smith, I don't have high hopes for this Philadelphia Eagles team this year.
I don't either. I'm not a believer that Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback for the Eagles in 5 years, but his best chance of becoming that is surrounding him with talent like DeVonta Smith.
Right.
And so clearly that's the game plan of what they're trying to do. From DeVonta Smith's perspective, I think way too much has been – B-Mac, I just heard him talking about this. I think way too much has been made about the size factor. There are things you can do early in his career, move him around a little bit to try to get him off jams. I do think it could be concerning, but there have been a long list of receivers, a Deshaun Jackson, a Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, he does. Deshaun Jackson.
Absolutely, he does. Almost like the springy step and the springy speed that he's got to him. I see that. So I think much has been made about that. where he's still the third best receiver in a really strong wide receiving class. So I think he's going to be a nice target for Jalen Hurts.
The interesting thing about this pick, right? Because remember, it was Dallas's. They trade within the division with Philly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now remember, they need a cornerback. J.C. Horn's gone. Pat Surtain's now gone because Denver took him at 9. It could have been Caleb Farley. Maybe this is a bit of an indication as far as how teams are feeling about Caleb Farley's medical, because that is definitely a need. Farley would be the next cornerback that you would take in this spot. Dallas felt like they could get something else in this draft by trading out of it. And obviously, you know, like they don't need help at wide receiver. They took CeeDee Lamb last year in the first round. They've got plenty of help there. But maybe an indication of how teams are feeling about Caleb Farley at that cornerback spot right now. Maybe he'll slide a little bit more in this draft, or maybe a team will take a chance. But that's at least how Dallas feels.
And Scott Pioli, you've been working with the Alabama Crimson Tide, and if you're working with them, you're working with a bunch of first-round picks as always. And this one's DeVonta Smith. The knock was that he's too small. What do you say to that?
I say don't worry about it. There's a couple of receivers with his bulk and his size that have made it in this league because they've gotten a little bit bigger. I think what sometimes people forget about underbulked and undersized players, regardless of position, is at 20, 21, and even 22 years old, the body is not fully developed in young men. So there is still room for some growth here and some improvement. I think these guys nailed it on it. He's the third best, second or third, depending on how you're looking at best receiver in this year's draft. But again, they are getting a very, very good player with dynamic speed, dynamic change of direction, and sure hands. He can not only make the sure catches, but he can make the acrobatic catches. So to me, this is really going to help the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, you look, they had Deshaun Jackson, who is of similar stature and weight, but I really wouldn't worry about it too much. This guy is too good of a football player to worry about something like bulk that could actually improve sometime soon.
4 Alabama Crimson Tide players already off the board in the first 10 picks, but I'm interested in the dynamics of that trade, the interdivision trade. What's the precedent for that, the Eagles and Cowboys trading in this position of the draft?
Yeah, you know, I was involved in one of those trades way back in the day when we traded Drew Bledsoe to the Buffalo Bills. And again, you don't generally want to trade within the division unless you think you're going to be doing something to help yourself win the division. But it was interesting to me. What was clear here is the Cowboys wanted out. They didn't know where to go, but sometimes, you know, cats can live with dogs, and that's exactly what happened in this case. But to me, I think you always want to try to do business elsewhere, but at the end of the day, as a general manager, head coach, or a leadership team, you have to get the best position for yourself. So if the Eagles were offering the best offer, which was a third-round pick, in order for them to do it, I mean, it doesn't matter. You have to trade within the division. Just get the best deal that you can. Put your ego out, you know, put your ego outside. Don't let the fan reaction, when you're sitting in those positions, you take the fan out of you and you just do what's good business.
NFC East with a bunch of trades tonight. Eagles and Cowboys hooking up on one. As we say so long to Scott Pioli for now.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.